Welcome back, everybody. My name is Bill Knapp, and I'm guessing you're here because you're curious why move to Denver, and is Denver the best move for you? Well, I've collected a whole bunch of questions that I commonly receive from people moving into the area since I'm a local realtor, and I'm going to go into all of that coming up next. So for those of you that are not aware, I've been a resident of Denver for about 20 years now, just shy of 20 years at the time of shooting this video. And I receive a lot of questions when I help people either relocating into the area or moving within the state. And I figured that I would just put these all out there on a video so you could use them for your reference and hopefully shed some light, maybe help you out to decide if moving to Denver would be the best move for you. And ideally, if you're looking for somebody to help you with that move, me being a local realtor, I'd be happy to help you out. So just jumping straight into it, one of the common questions that I received since I've been here for about 20 years is what brought me to Denver. And while my choice was definitely very personal and specific to my scenario at that point in time, along with my wife, we moved here because I vacationed here all the time as a kid growing up. I'd always come here with my family, and we would just go straight off into the Rocky Mountains and make our adventure happen from there, whether if it's staying in Colorado or shooting north to Wyoming. So I had a lot of fun family memories here, which was kind of a natural inclination that I wanted to move from Ohio to Colorado as soon as possible, which is a long-winded way of saying the state of Colorado actually pulled me here by itself. All of the outdoor offerings that it had, from the hiking to the biking to everything that I wanted as far as trail running at the time, it was kind of a no-brainer. And my wife got into running at the same point. I was a really bad snowboarder when I moved here, and good news is I'm still a really bad snowboarder and now also a mediocre skier. The point being that there was just so much outdoor attraction that the state itself was the pull for me, and then we decided that we loved it here so much we stayed and started raising our family. So what was the pull for me? The actual physical state of Colorado. Now, another viewpoint from what I've heard from other people moving here, some people do have to move here for their jobs. Other people are pretty similar to my scenario where they moved here because they wanted to either escape a big city or escape a small town, and they weren't sure if they wanted something on the water or if they wanted something hot or cold, or they just didn't quite know what their fit was. And the good and cool thing about Colorado, especially Denver, is that it's a bit of what I call a Goldilocks zone. It has a little bit of everything, all four seasons, all the outdoor activities. We have plenty of stuff on the indoor. If you're not an outdoorsy person, it's not a big deal because there's plenty of stuff to do indoor, especially as the city keeps growing. So what I see in my personal and professional experience of people moving here, they move here because they want the community, the vibe, the feel that you get when you encounter the Denver metro and surrounding Colorado areas. Which will bring me to my next question, which kind of goes hand in hand with, that all sounds great about Colorado and why you live there. What's the median cost, or what can I expect as my cost when I move there? This is a bit harder for me to answer because I'm not sure where you're coming from when we first start talking, but for the most part, on the median national average, if you're using 100% as your baseline, Denver, Colorado is approximately 27% more expensive than your average surrounding metro city and or small city or states nearby. So if you're moving here, you can probably expect it to be a little bit more expensive from where you're coming from, unless you're moving here from a larger city, in which case it'll be a lot more affordable. And to put that in more perspective, for your just baseline information, the median cost of a home in Denver Metro County as of shooting this video right now is approximately $565,000, which is down a little bit from last year. So if you compare that to where you're coming from, like if you're coming from my hometown of Dayton, Ohio, where the homes are anywhere from like $250,000 to $300,000, yeah, it's a lot more expensive. But if you're moving from LA where my brother is, and the average townhome is like $700,000 to $900,000, like you feel like you won the lottery. You roll into Colorado, you get a nice home with a yard and a garage, and it's walking distance to most everything, and you have the outdoors for $500,000. Yeah, it could be a really great fit. This usually brings up another question about cars and such, and most people will be coming from a place either like this, a beach, or it's a city, or they may not even have a car, and they want to know, hey, if I move to Colorado, do I need to bring a car? Do I need four-wheel drive? What's the metro and the transit system like? Which is a lot of questions all in one. But for your quick synopsis, I highly recommend, yes, you have a car. I understand you want to be economic and the green movement, etc. But Colorado is very spaced out, and if you don't have a car, you may have to rely heavily on either your bike or scooter or motorcycle, bus lines, or RTD transit. Now, RTD transit is all well and good, but is it great? Frankly speaking, no, it's not. I find it to be frustrating at the very best. It's great if you're going from north to south and east to west. Fantastic. You can get from A to B and C to D, whatever you want to call it. The bus lines are not too bad, but you typically will be waiting out there for a little bit. The light rail is pretty good, but it doesn't get you to all the areas I typically would want and need to go. And I say this coming from experience because I used to live in the tech center and commute up to downtown Denver. I would do a difference between bus routes sometimes, other times I do the light rail, and it got to be really cumbersome. Plus it was expensive, and the time I spent sitting on those lines was near double than what I spent in my car because the traffic here, it can be bad, but it's not nearly as bad as what I had in Washington, D.C. It is nothing compared to LA, New York, Chicago. So do you need a car? I think it would be very, very beneficial because then you can literally jump in your car and just go and explore, or you can have your car to get you from wherever you're going to wherever you want to go next. It's not that expensive. Do you need four-wheel drive? It doesn't hurt, but it's not required. And real quick, while we're going through these questions, if I'm saying anything that's helpful, do me a favor, hit that like button. If you like the content that I'm putting out, I would really appreciate if you consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell notification so you can keep up to date with each release as I put them out. And also don't forget, I am a local realtor. My contact information will be below. I do these videos as a way of providing information about the Denver area and also as a way to hopefully connect to see if working together is a good fit. That's all I got for my soapbox. If you're interested in working, contact me. Call is best, email and text work great, and we'll get going from there. The next question I get, and this is becoming less and less common because these are becoming more camouflaged and such, but I commonly get asked, what's with the water bottles? Most people coming here don't quite understand why does everybody roll around town carrying or having some form of water bottle. Denver itself is at 5,280 feet above sea level, which means we're definitely gonna be thinner air. We're also landlocked and a semi-arid state. So we're closer to the sun, landlocked, and it's not really humid here, it's just very dry. So we are thirsty, which is why we carry around these water bottles almost everywhere. Now, they've come out with some really, really cool advancements. I don't need to go into all that between Yetis and Arctics and whatnot, but a lot of us do get like the Camelbacks or whatever and decorate them with stickers from around the states or wherever we happen to travel. So why the water bottles? We're damn thirsty and it's really dry. The next question I get, which has been a hard one to kind of keep up with because this is more of a moving target, but commonly I'll be asked, what's the nightlife like and how's the food scene? And depending where you're coming from, this can really be a plus or a minus. As of recently, the food scene and the nightlife in Denver and actually surrounding areas has blown up in a very, very good way. When I moved here 20 years ago, it was meh at best. Most places were only open until about 10 o'clock, some maybe midnight if you were lucky. Now we have plenty of places for nightlife that are open at least until midnight, and some places are now open until 4 a.m. So we are definitely progressing and expanding. A lot of the locals that have been here a long time don't necessarily like that, but a lot of the people moving in do. So pro or con, I don't know, it's up to you. The nightlife scene though is definitely very diverse. It's got a little bit of everything for almost everyone, and it's all in and around the center of downtown Denver and the surrounding areas. The food scene now. The food scene in Denver has taken an amazing uptick, which is fantastic, because when I first moved here, it was basically steaks, potatoes, and Tex-Mex. So just boring as it got. Now, we were recently awarded across both Boulder and Denver and some surrounding areas, Michelin stars. So we have some really fantastic, progressive, farm to fresh table kind of restaurants. Lots of really amazing sushi like Uchi Downtown. And we have other kinds of Mexican and Spanish and French style cuisine that will absolutely just drive the most foodies bananas. So there's lots of things to look for here between nightlife and food. Now, if you're coming from like an LA or Washington, D.C., or any of those places that are more of like the thick, seeped cultural melting pots, it won't necessarily be as diverse as you're used to, but it's not going to be too far off now, and we are continually adding. So in my personal opinion, I think it's on the uptick and looking really pretty fantastic. Now, the next question is actually two questions, and I receive this all the time from people, whether they're coming in or they're trying to figure out their logistics and transportation, and that is, when is the best time to buy in Denver, and when is the best time to visit to see if you want to buy in Denver? Well, the quick and easy question for when to visit Denver, I highly recommend coming in the spring and in the summer, because you're gonna be almost guaranteed to have a sunshiny day versus the fall and the winter when you may or may not have a snow shower, or you might have an overcast day, or it might be too cold. So to see Denver in its best light, my personal recommendation, come in the summer or maybe the late spring to early fall. early fall at the very, very latest. That way you can see the best that Denver has to offer, see all over the place, and from the tops of the peaks to the different kinds of mountains and trails. And you can drive and see everything pretty clean and easy versus the winter when it's just, it's just a little gray and congested. Now that said, when to buy in Denver is completely and totally different, and that depends on your scenario. If you're coming here and you're gonna be a first-time home buyer, or you're relocating to the area and you want the most selection, I highly recommend you start looking in the spring time frame, because the spring market tends to have the most amount of inventory and the most amount of offerings. Now the drawback will be a lot of other buyers are looking at the same exact time, so competition will be through the roof and you will have to be patient. When looking in the spring, you may have to make an offer on a couple of homes before you actually get your offer accepted, so I highly recommend being patient, as I said, and not falling in love with a home until you actually get it under contract, and actually honestly until it closes. Now, the second best time to come out and look for home shopping, in my personal opinion, honestly, I would come out in the summer, because there's gonna be less competition. There will also be less inventory, but you won't be falling over other buyers trying to get into a place and get your offer accepted. So there's a good opportunity for you to get a place under contract faster and probably with more favorable terms. The third time that I'd come out would definitely be the fall. And that's gonna be when kind of after the Labor Day time kind of kicks in as the school season is starting. Once that gets up and going, you'll have more inventory to pick from. You will have some competition, but not nearly as much in the spring. Colorado, especially Denver, is very cyclical, where the spring is very, very busy, and then it slows down in the summer, and then it picks back up in the fall, and then it slows down as you go into the winter, and then it just repeats the cycle again. So the second best inventory opportunity will be the fall, but there will also be similar-ish kind of competition. And if you're an investor, you know when to look. You're looking all the time, but some of the best deals that you can get, and if you're a buyer, is going to be in the winter, because most of those winter sellers are wanting that home to move. They don't want to deal with the cold. They want to get out for the holidays and start their life, get done for the new year. You can get great deals typically in the winter. The next question that I get that is very important, and actually something to consider even if you do or do not have kids, is how are the schools and what are the school districts like? And for a quick synopsis, the schools in and around Denver and the surrounding neighborhoods are really amazing. And to find that out for yourself, just go to greatschools.org and it'll have all the details there, or you can check out a site like niche.com and it'll show that the schools are actually very, very strong. This is important not only because obviously you want a great education for your kiddos, but it also does lend to your home and your property values. If you're in a very good school district, the chances are your return on the investment for any property that you own or that you buy will go up commensurate with the strength of the school zone. So that being said, Cherry Creek schools are really fantastic. Douglas County schools are really fantastic. Jefferson County schools also really amazing. And then Denver County has a good kind of up and down depending on where you are in Denver County. But just use those resources I mentioned before, and that'll give you a great baseline what you can expect. And one of the last common questions that I received that I found kind of interesting and took me a second to answer the first time it was asked is, since Colorado and Denver are a destination state, people come here for vacation, and I came here and for vacation and moved here as a result. Where do I go? Do I stay here and just vacation in Colorado? Am I stuck here, or do I go other places? And to put that in perspective, I do a little bit of both. My family, we love the water. My wife grew up on the water, so we tend to go to the beach when we can. And then we come back and we have a greater appreciation for the mountains when we come back. The geography of Colorado alone is bisected by the mountain ranges, which means from north to south, you're gonna have the whole set of mountain ranges going through, and it's gonna spread all the way to the west. And then on the east, you have all the eastern plains. And then over in the different corners, there's so much to see and explore between Wolf Creek in the southwest corner, and then you can go up to Grand Junction over on the western slopes. There's so much to see in Colorado. So our staycations, we've actually done driving tours of just like regions of Colorado, because there's so many amazing mountain towns to see and so many things to go explore. We still have not gone down to Telluride. We have plenty of places we still need to go visit. So we stay when we want to, and we travel to the beach all those other times. So there's no right or wrong. I mean, Colorado is amazing, but too much of a good thing is not necessarily a good thing. So getting out to the beach every once in a while, yeah, we're for it. So hopefully these answers kind of ad-libbed and a little bit run-on sentency gave you some ideas of what to expect when you move to this area. Having been here for 20 years, hopefully my experiences were able to shed some light on whether or not this may or may not be the best move for you. Quick reminder again, if you have not subscribed already, please do so. I'd really appreciate it. You can just hit the subscribe button below, bell notification, hit the like button. It'll keep you up to date with all my recent releases. And if you're interested to learn more about the area or considering a move and you would like to see about working together, just give me a call, text, or email. My contact details are listed below as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you as always for sticking around to the end. My name is Bill Knapp, your residential realtor here in Denver, Colorado, and I'll see you all on the next one. Cheers.